We are bringing you the longest running live show from the Content Marketing Institute. The year 2022 is brand new, and so is season 2. For the next 30 minutes, we own the airwaves together. So get thee to thine keyboard, share your comments, and join the live event. My name is Buddy Scalera, and I am a content strategist building intelligent content solutions, an NFT creator, and a professional comic book writer with a ruggedly handsome beard stubble. I am joined by Content Marketing Institute's legendary creative director, their lead designer, lead singer, and the one person who single-handedly keeps the Hasbro Star Wars toy line profitable, Joe J.K. Kalinowski.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year, everyone. Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Hey, Jim.
Welcome to the Creative Show 2022. New year, buddy. Lots of creativity to talk about. Lots of things going on. Lots of snow here in Cleveland, Ohio, as usual. So let's get this thing rolling.
I love it. Yeah, and I'm glad to see a familiar face in the audience. We have tens of fans out there, Joe, and I'm very excited to see at least one of them joining us.
That's right. Just like I said, backed by unpopular demand, right?
Because nobody demanded it. Okay, so Joe, we have been around a long time, as evidenced by my beard stubble. We've seen enough brands come and go. What would you say one of the key factors is in helping a brand survive over decades?
I would say more than anything, it's evolution.
Hmm.
And like brands need to evolve, and more than anything, it's relevance.
Relevance. Yeah.
Staying relevant with your audience, staying relevant with your community. And I think that is what we're going to chat about today, correct?
We are. We're going to be talking about relevance, and we've come up with a bushel of examples. That's right, Joe, a bushel, because I couldn't
Bushel.
think of I couldn't think of anything else. I was trying to use cornucopia. I couldn't spell it, so I changed to bushel.
Love it.
Um, yep, of examples that show how brands can learn from creative individuals about being relative.
Yeah, exactly. And more than anything, one thing that I noticed that out of all these shows that we've done is people like it when we talk about music.
I
So
know.
so why don't we kick off with your first example, buddy? Because I think you have a good one.
And by people, Joe, I mean us, right?
Exactly.
I don't
People.
know. We're not 100% sure what anybody really likes about the show, but
Look, if we're not talking Star Wars, Foo Fighters, Iron Maiden, we're talking about any other music band, right? So come on.
absolutely. Hey, we've Andrea Larrick and Andy Robertson in there. Thanks
Hey,
for
hi guys.
joining us today. It's nice to see you all.
Same here.
Joe, I grew up in a household where we listened to 1950s rock and roll, and songs like "Run Around Sue" were the big hits that we loved. Dion was a master. If I could just get Amanda to show graphic number 1 of Dion, just to give you guys a quick reference. There you go.
Oh,
Run around Sue. Show the next graphic to Amanda. We'll show number 2 if we can. There you go. I Wonder Why with Dion and the Belmonts. But Joe, the reason I've brought up Dion in this particular episode is when Amanda throws up that last graphic, it'll become clear. Still in his 80s, Dion is reinventing himself. The same Dion that sung Run Around Sue and I Wonder Why just released an album, a blues album, and you can see the complete star list of fellow creators who joined him.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big list.
That's a huge list.
Yeah,
And
he's
might
still staying
might
relevant.
might I add to, I wish I looked that cool in my 80s. I mean, come on.
Dion always looked cool. You see Dion in the
Yeah,
50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and you're like, how does this person still look cool? He stays relevant, right? He changes with the times. He
exactly.
doesn't still like Dion and the Belmonts. He's not trying to reclaim the 50s. And when you
Right.
look at that, Amanda, pull that image back up real quick because you see him there and you believe, yeah, this guy's still rocking.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crazy thing is if you look at that list of folks that are on this album with them, I guarantee you he's influenced every one of them.
Some of them weren't even born.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is
seriously.
definitely influenced. But I will tell you, he has stayed relevant, and I think creatively, he has continued to make music, evolve his music, and that's right, Lisa, preach. He is you know what, he was and always will be an influencer. But what's great about him is you're not going to see him in Entertainment Weekly. You're not going to see him show up.
No.
This just happened to show up in my Amazon Prime Music because I was listening to a lot of blues. This popped up. I was like, Dion. Somebody stole Dion's name, but it turns out it's the real Dion.
Right. And what's so interesting about that too, buddy, is the fact that how many of these artists and creators, I mean, even from brand standards, how many people work behind the scenes? Like how many, I'm sure that if you look at Dion's writing credits throughout the decades, um, even if he wasn't involved in singing a song,
Right.
or he was heavily involved in the production. So, there was so many ways to stay relevant throughout the years, uh, even if you're not in front of the camera or actually writing or staying relevant with the times by helping other creators create.
Right, exactly. And Lisa laughed that he on TikTok. I didn't see a TikTok link, but he is on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, to name a few. He's out there, and I have to tell you,
Yeah,
if you go to his website, you could listen to the album for free through Spotify. But Joe, we're more than just music. You had some other content marketing relative things that you wanted to discuss,
sure,
right? Yeah,
sure, yeah.
yeah,
So there's a couple of the brand standards that we always talk about
yeah.
when we talk about content marketing and like some of the roots of content marketing. So Amanda, if you pull up the first one, let's talk about John Deere real quick. John Deere, as everyone knows, I mean, we have talked about John Deere from the beginning of the Content Marketing Institute
Yep.
over a decade ago. The Furrow magazine was brought out in 1895 by John Deere, basically a print publication, almost a newspaper that has been distributed across the farming community, all about farming, all about farmers that use John Deere product. And it was used as farmers sharing stories between each other, but then also as a sales material uh, for other farmers to buy John Deere implementary, which is just, I mean, it's the groundwork for what we know as content marketing today. I mean, there's examples that are even older, but this was one of the most popular. And the furrow is still alive and well today after 130 years, which is just amazing. And you're right, Andy. Uh, their agriculture community is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
YouTube channels, Instagram, I mean, across the board, and they just do so much with their farmers to keep them actively engaged, not just from content creation, but being an active community.
Joe,
The,
I've seen the furrow only through Content Marketing Institute, and I have to tell you, it makes me want to plow a field. I just want I just want to
well,
get out there in New Jersey and just plow the field in the
but
mall.
you would,
That's all.
but
Yeah.
yeah, you want to go old school. You want to use the till with the cow pulling it, right? You
Well,
don't want to,
sure.
you don't want to, you don't want to go with the big, you don't want to go with the big tractor because it would look so much cooler if you just used the old school. But
And
buddy,
and and
growing up,
well, and we're in New Jersey here, the mall, the land of malls, Joe, and it happens to be snowing at this moment. And I always say we don't have a snow problem in New Jersey. It snows, we just pave a mall right over it, and we're like, what snow? There's no snow.
just build a new
There's
mall,
just
right?
another mall. So
It's
I'm looking forward to when the snow stops and we have a new mall.
Oh, perfect. Well, it's crazy. I grew up to finish up on John Deere. I grew up on a farm, and they having magazines like this. John Deere was the standard when it came to publications for farmers, but everybody, a lot of other agricultural companies also have them. You know what I mean? So it wasn't common for the end of my parents' table to have like 4 or 5 agriculture magazines sitting there sent right from the company. So, but then let's hop over to another example, a content marketing example, another brand standard that we talk about all the time is Lego. They started with Brick Kicks magazine back in '87 for any kid that wanted to join the Lego club. They had an actual builders club. They had the Brick Kicks magazine that was distributed to people that were members of the club. Then obviously, it was stories about brick builders and people that were just really into Lego. And then, obviously, I believe it was 2014, we got the Lego movie and
Yeah.
all spin-off movies. And I mean, it's a branded movie.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, and
It
how
teaches kids
many
how to play with Lego, right?
right. And then what's really cool too, buddy, is not only does Brick Kicks and you have Lego movies, but then the community itself also has magazines like you see I added Lego Blocks, which I believe is a community-based magazine. It's not put out by Lego, it's put out by community members, and they talk about their experiences and how they customize their Legos as well. So I mean, it's just an ongoing thing. So the relevance over the years has gone from, what's amazing is passing it down from, like I played with Lego, my kid played with Lego, everybody in the family's a member of Lego Club, and there's just some kind of it's inherent, like everybody that loves Lego has some kind of like influential uh experience with the Lego brand. Um
And Joe, you're not really a Lego family until you've had to pull a Lego out of the bottom of your foot. Like if they had a magazine to teach parents how to remove Lego bricks from your feet in the middle of the night when you get up, right? Because
so,
there's always one Lego brick that lodges in your
buddy,
foot.
I cannot believe you brought that up because right before we hopped on today, I sent a TikTok video of a guy that says, "Get back at your kids by spreading Lego bricks down all over the floor before you go to bed. Like when they get up in the morning to go to the restroom, have them step on them and see how they feel." Because it was always finding that one Lego brick at 2:30 in the morning when I'd go to get a glass of water. And then wake up the dogs because I'd be screaming and hopping on one foot all around the house. So
Yeah, it was rough. But you do have one more, I think, right?
I do
Yeah,
one that's a
go.
little bit more a cult favorite and a little bit more relevant to today, which is very interesting. Our friends, I'm wearing my toque today, buddy, because we're going to
And we're
talk about
wearing
our.
and we're wearing our Creative
Yeah,
Show
look at that.
shirts,
We
right?
look like a dance team.
We do.
Uh, the Creative Show Soft Shoe Society.
That's right.
Um, we're going to talk about the Trailer Park Boys. For
Oh.
folks that have heard of them, you know who they are. For folks that
Mhm.
haven't, this group of gentlemen you see on the screen here starred in a movie in 1999, a mockumentary that came out of Newfoundland, Canada, and these guys were the writers and they worked with a couple directors and they wrote this mockumentary almost very office like, but this is way before the office, about these three kind of knuckleheads living in a trailer park. And basically the show is about them getting drunk, them getting high, them playing with guns, and them committing crimes. And but it's like a comedic, like they're always kind of falling ass backwards into something. So
Mm.
what these gentlemen did, I mean, it's very funny, it's very cult like. It went from a movie to a television show that ran for 7 seasons on the Canadian Broadcasting's Showcase Network.
Wow.
From there, Netflix picked them up,
Mm.
and they became Netflix stars. But in the meantime, what these three gentlemen did, um, as creators, as the content creators for the show, they ended up buying the rights to Trailer Park Boys. So they owned the rights to their own show and their own image. They launched something because they swear and curse a lot on the television show. And it's kind of like their shtick. What they ended up doing is launching a content hub called SwearNet. And on SwearNet, you can go and get all episodes, all the seasons of the Trailer Park Boys, even though they still have a deal with Netflix. You can watch Trailer Park Boys through a subscription service through SwearNet. They've also have merchandise. They do live shows. They
Mm.
have their own brand of alcohol. They have beer. Then on top of everything else, they're launching a comic book. They they just launched they're launching an animated series, and now they're doing just a SwearNet only broadcast of their show called Trailer Park Boys Jail. So they're all, the three of them are in prison, and the whole series is about them just doing, the kind of the shenanigans they did in a trailer park. Now they're doing it,
Yeah, they could
living
have
in prison.
easily just had that one shot and then moved on to other things, but they recognize the value of that
And
brand.
Buddy, what they keep doing, what makes them relevant over the time, is that they had a cult following, but then they keep like adjusting their content to different outlets because they've mastered, they created their own hub. They have a blog. They mastered the social channels, so they're all over TikTok, they're all over Instagram, they're all over YouTube, they're all over Facebook. I mean, anywhere you want to find the Trailer Park Boys, if you're a fan, you can find them. And they tour. They do
Wow.
Christmas shows. You can buy Christmas cards on there. I mean, it's amazing what these guys did. They realized that the brand in and of themselves was something bigger than just the show. So what they did is they acquired their own brand, and they became content creators above and beyond the actual, behind the camera, in front of the camera kind of stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. I really did not know that about them. It's funny. It reminds me of how the Blues Brothers was launched from a single sketch on Saturday Night Live, and then they just continued to build. And I think that's encouraging for brands to say, okay, where do we go? What else will our audience enjoy? And then what channels do you think they'll want to be in? So I think that's a great example, Joe. But I know that
Yeah.
both of us have. I think there's a question here. Someone was interested in the shirts. Andy Robinson
Oh
said, "How do
yeah.
we get the creative show shirts?" Joe, how do they get a
Well,
shirt?
Andy, if you go and say something very pleasant and nice about me and maybe Buddy, but me,
Just you have the shirts. I have one. He has them all, Andy.
Andy, hit me up on Twitter, and send me a direct message, and maybe we can hook you up with one.
Andy, I
And
had to
and
show up in his office there with a can of yellow paint and paint those walls to get this shirt.
Yeah,
That
look
was
at
how
this,
I,
Buddy.
yeah.
You did a fantastic job, by the way,
Well,
and
I
I
gotta,
made some touch ups. So if you want to come back around next time, you know,
I will. And
door's always open.
Kimberly Borden noted, brand agility has kept them relevant. If we want to pull that comment up, I agree,
Yeah,
Kimberly.
absolutely.
Yeah, them figuring out what works and what doesn't work, but the agility of certain brands, we could just pivot off of Kimberly's statement, has led us down the Web3 path, Joe. I
Right.
think we're all starting to understand the language of Web3, NFTs, and cryptocurrency. You had noted that a very famous sneaker brand just jumped onto Web3, right?
Yeah, I was actually talking to our friend Joe Polizzi about this, and who's also kind of going down the rabbit hole of Web3. And I'm still trying to, like many of us. I mean, Buddy, you probably have a much better understanding of this than I do at this point. But I'm still trying to wrap my head, as many people are, around Web3. But what I do find very interesting is how these brands um, how these brands are coming up with different ways to come up with NFTs, and how they're going to make them work with other NFTs. So what I found really interesting, Amanda, if you want to pull up uh, the Adidas example, they're hopping into the metaverse with this phase one, which is really cool. They partnered with a couple of the larger NFT brands, I believe. I
This
think
is open.
one,
This is open sea, and I think
yeah,
one of the things that's notable about it is yes, they have made quite a lot of money by putting out NFTs that matter to their fan base. You know, the
right.
sneakerheads, people that are not just sneaker buyers, but truly sneakerheads, collectors, and they've given them another way to collect. But then there's a secondary market where people are buying these, investing in them, and then reselling them. It's incredible. The
Just like sneakers.
enthusiasm.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the crazy
it's
thing. It's just like the sneakerheads are doing the same thing with their NFTs that they do with their
it's great.
sneakers. You can get
Yeah,
something else. And
yeah.
what I love about this OpenSea example that we showed, is if you pop over to OpenSea and pull up the Adidas originals, those are 3D. So
Yeah.
they kind of rotate, so you get to see what kind of shoe that your NFT is wearing, and the kind of outfit that they dress them in. And it is really actually kind of cool what Adidas is doing.
A-
And this is just phase one. into the metaverse.
And what's great
So
about this, Joe, is if you look at this and you can go there yourself and check them out. It is relevant to their audience. Their audience
yeah,
did not look at this as just a cash grab. They went at this
right.
with full enthusiasm and said, "We really like this," and the enthusiasm for this has been wonderful. For those of us who are monitoring these platforms, you cannot be helped but be impressed with the brand line extension that has spoken to their audience in a relevant way.
Right. And this obviously goes right back to what Kim mentioned about agility. I
Hmm.
mean, brands such as Adidas are recognize what their audience is looking for, what their community loves, and they have adapted and they're kind of diving into it head on. You have a
I do.
kind of a cool
I do. And
example
everybody
coming up.
knows that I'm a car guy. So why don't we pull up the first image of the Lamborghini here? Yep, Lamborghini. You know, the
Oh,
car
wow.
that my daily driver, the car I drive every day to the grocery store. This NFT was created by an artist. If you want to show the second image as well, by Lamborghini, using the actual manufacturing specifications of every part true to form, created a 3D model showing how Lamborghini is launching into outer space with their NFTs, thousands of images. And you go to the last image, you'll see they are actually tying it in to a physical object. So
Wow.
not many of these will be made, but the only way to get to your NFT will be to scan the QR code that is embedded in that physical object.
Oh my
And
gosh.
as a premium brand, Lamborghini looked at this and said, nobody wants a cheap Lamborghini. Nobody wants the inexpensive, low budget NFT. What they did was they made something that was incredibly premium and totally on brand for Lamborghini. If you look at what that person is holding there, that example, that is actually a physical object that you can also put up on your shelf, on the wall next to your Lamborghini. I don't know what you would own to own a Lamborghini, but that makes sense that you'd want to own that.
That is incredible, buddy. What I do love about that is there's still so much, uh, there's still so much people are trying to wrap their head around when it comes to purchasing an NFT, to owning a little bit of a piece of the Web3 universe.
Yeah,
And what I do love about that is you're getting something physical.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Something that you could still put on your shelf. Yes, you own an NFT that's tied to that, but there's still something that you could set on your desk or put up on the wall to say I own that.
yeah.
Like a lot of NFTs, which are really cool. You can print them out, you can do whatever, you can get a digital screen and have them rotate, which I've seen people do. But Lamborghini being the brand that they are, of course they would do something like that,
Yeah,
which
and
is
I'm sure that
fantastic.
object, to manufacture that object in a short run, is probably fairly expensive. It's probably not a cheap item that is being shown there on the screen, nor is that NFT. But again, relevance to the brand. Lamborghini is a premium brand. And if you follow any of their accounts, the photography is wonderful.
Hmm.
And they really help to immerse enthusiasts, people like me who will never be able to afford a Lamborghini, will of course still enjoy it, but the people who are the Lambo owners now have something that's truly premium. You're talking about a vehicle that's $250,000 new at the lowest end. The top end is
Yeah,
over $2 million. So for them to now buy an additional piece of bling that goes with their existing bling is right on brand and relevant to that target. It's no doubt they'll sell out.
for sure. For sure. I think Andy has a really good question coming in through LinkedIn. With today's fast changing environment, do you see newer companies still having the long lasting relevancy of the Furrow or Lego?
Hmm.
That's a really interesting question, Andy. Thank you for that. And, just thinking about off the top of my head from a relevancy standpoint and a brand that has seemed to evolve with the times, the one that automatically comes off the top of my head is the NFL.
Hmm.
I think the NFL, there's always the love of sport and the love of football and whatnot, but I find it very interesting how they are reaching out to their community year on year through charity, and they're creating new programs, cartoons, all that kind of stuff to get younger audiences kind of nurture the older audiences to, like, you always see the throwback, like the vintage 60s, NFL films. You know what I mean? Like the relevancy that I think that they have is they have such a long history that just keeps rolling over, and history is being made year on year on year on year. And I think what they're doing is they're starting to capitalize on that. You see that the Hall of Fame here in Canton, Ohio, is growing exponentially to the point where they're going to make it almost like a destination spot in the sense of like an amusement park.
Now,
You
Joe,
can go.
Joe,
Go
we're
ahead.
we're getting close on time here.
Yeah,
I see other comments coming in. Anybody else who wants to recommend like Jim just did here,
yeah,
if they want to make a recommendation or identify a brand, definitely do so in chat right now. It was a great question, Andy.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and worth further discussion, take it to Twitter or to the weekly Twitter chat. But you know what, Joe? We would not be the same show without your legendary What's in the Box segment, which we'll have to do a little bit quicker than usual. But because you have a What's in the Box and I have a What's in the Box. Joe, what's in your box?
You know what I'm going to do? Buddy, I'm going to forego what's in the box this week, and I'm going to throw it right back to you. It's in what's in Buddy's box this week,
Well,
because
what?
I have something cool we'll talk about next episode, but I want
Good.
you to talk this week.
Yeah, I don't want to rush it. Joe, what's in the box is a hyperlink, which Amanda will show you links to the Content Marketing Institute. Joe, you and I co-authored. I get, for some reason, I get all the credit on this one. We co-authored this one, but I guess you can only have one author listed. This is a recap of the first year. You'll see some little tidbits of background information, a little bit of insight. So if you surf on over to the Content Marketing Institute, you'll see a recap of season 1 of the Creative Show. So hopefully people will enjoy that.
Yeah, you know what? It was so fun, buddy. Honestly, thank you. The recap was fantastic, and thanks to our great editorial team, Lisa, Kim,
Yep, Lisa.
Jody, everybody that's helped us, kind of, and Amanda and Monina Wagner, who's been such a wonderful part of bringing this through our first year. Um, I had such a blast, doing this past year with you. Really looking forward to 2022, and kind of, as we hopefully get into a new normal, we can actually get together a little bit more and maybe do one or two of these live in person, and do or finally get to do our Buddy and Joe Man on the Street segment, where we drag Amanda around and make go ask people questions about creativity live on the spot.
Yeah, and thanks to the Content Marketing Institute staff for opening the door for us to not just do this show, but also inviting us to author something that will hopefully, for those of you who are newcomers to the show, will be able to check it out. And speaking of check it out, Joe, I don't know where that segue was going, but where can they find you on a regular basis? Where are you?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter at JK Kalinowski, and you could always find me on the Content Marketing Institute website and Content Marketing World. And by the way, I would love to see you at Content Tech out in San Diego. Registration's now open, so join us.
And you
How
can
about you,
find me.
buddy?
Yeah, you can find me on all social platforms as Buddy Scalera, and also as my secret identity comic book school, where we do all kinds of visual storytelling and learning. So that's it for the show, Joe. Thank you so much to Amanda for hosting us. We've
Yes,
had a
thank you,
lot of
Amanda.
fun. And to all of you who join us, we look forward to your comments and seeing you each month. Join us again next month, where we will stay creative, and you should too. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
month.
Take care. Have